Okay, so if you follow this channel, you know that my podcast co-host and I do a preview show of each division. It's on the live tab on my channel page if you want to take a look at that. But I figured maybe not everyone wants to sit through 8 hours, 8+ hours of podcasts. So I thought this could be an interesting video because this is something I did for those podcasts. And I put a community tab up each week just asking, who do you think will win each division? And I figured, well, why not make a video talking about who you think and what I think of your thoughts? So, yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it, starting off with the NFC. So, okay, NFC North to begin, and you see that 52% picked the Lions to win the division, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not. 52% is one of the lower division winners that you would see. It's actually the second lowest that a division winner got. So not as many people as maybe I would think would be picking the Lions. I think the Lions should be picked pretty highly. A good amount of Vikings fans in the mix here. 27% say Minnesota is getting slept on, which I think is a bit surprising. I think that a lot of people look at their kind of, the issues defensively, and I think a lot of people feel like they got kind of overlooked, or not overlooked, but overrated last year due to their record. Lucky is the word. I think people felt like they got lucky last year and didn't earn their record, which is why they ended up getting knocked out round one once they got to the postseason. But that who knows if that will stay the same. Only 14% say Green Bay, which I kind of get, but it does feel a little bit like people are sleeping on them a little bit as well. Again, my pick would have been the Detroit Lions, and I probably would still go Vikings second. I agree with this order, but I do feel like Green Bay is a team that has potential to make the postseason if everything hits. If Jordan Love is good, it totally feels possible. And even 8% still said Chicago, which isn't a lot, but there's lower picks than that. In fact, 8% is tied for the highest percentage of a last place team. Only one other team finished last and also has 8%, which we will talk about next. So, things to like about with the Chicago Bears. There's some people that are fans, but obviously not a ton. NFC South for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unfortunately, are finished last in this, another 8% last. So at least we're tied for best out of the last percent. And also the Saints, the lowest percentage say that they will win among winning teams. Now, every single team that's projected to win, according to the community tabs poll, has over 50%, but they just barely have over 50%, 51%. The Panthers and Falcons, a lot in the mix there. A lot of people feel like Panthers or Falcons could potentially win this division. I mean, 18% and 22% is not a small amount of percent. And, that's pretty good for a number two team to have 22%. And number three team, especially to have 18%. That's the highest for a number three team, 18% for Atlanta. So, it's an interesting race and one of the tighter races here. It comes down to, can the Falcons get decent quarterback play? Can the Panthers get decent play around their quarterback offensively? Could Tampa Bay potentially have a decent offense if they don't run the ball 1,000 times a game? Probably not. They're probably going to run the ball 1,000 times a game. But the Saints just feel like they have the highest. I think they have the highest floor in this. I also predict the Saints to win the division. I had the Buccaneers second, but I'm probably biased and probably letting my subconscious bias be the reason for that. But yeah, I do think this could go either way. The NFC West was a landslide. This is the second most percentage that a winning team got. Second most percentages, period, that someone got. The 49ers, 80% say San Francisco is going to win their division. Only 3% with the Rams and the Cardinals, respectively. That is tied for lowest. There is another team that had just 3%. More people say the Texans or Colts will win their division than people are saying that the Rams or Cardinals will win that division. And I kind of don't disagree. Feels like 14% feels low for Seattle. I feel like there's an opportunity that potentially they could do better than that. I do think that, with the 49ers, there are some corner issues. There are some, some quarterback issues. What are we going to get out of Brock Purdy? I think good play, but we don't know. But I do agree that I would pick the 49ers. It is a little surprising just how much of a landslide it is for me, though. The NFC East is another landslide. The Eagles are a team that many people feel like could win the division, and while it's a landslide for first, there is some contention for second, third, and even fourth. I'm not shocked to see the Giants in last. I know Giants fans feel like they've been getting disrespected, and I do get it, but I also kind of agree with this order. I am a little surprised only 12% said Dallas. Like just a 3% difference from the Balls and from the Cowboys is surprising to me. I think the Cowboys could be really good with the addition of Gilmore and Cooks. Like, I don't know. I feel people are sleeping on the Cowboys a little bit. I agree the Eagles should be clearly number one. And I kind of agree that the Commanders deserve a little bit of love here as well, though. Next up is the AFC East, where the Bills are in first, but it's not as massive as it has been in a couple years past. Just 7% pick the Patriots. That feels a bit high. Maybe it's Kyle has a bunch of burner accounts and is picking them a bunch. I don't know. The Jets and the Dolphins are two teams that are, I actually have the Dolphins as my pick to win the AFC. I guess that's a hot take because people aren't as high on the Dolphins. 17% isn't nothing, but that feels pretty low for me. I feel like this is the team that on paper should be awesome. I think people aren't paying enough attention to the Vic Fangio edition and the Jalen Ramsey edition. This could be an elite defense next year, and we know it's an elite offense when healthy. Buffalo, I don't hate picking them to win the division either. I think that totally makes sense. I'm not shocked that it's been their division for a while. There are some concerns I have just with like what are we getting out of Tre'Davious White and I think talent around Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Also, the Jets, I totally think that they could win it as well. It's a great division. You got three contenders in one division. I do think there's some issues with the Jets, though, with the offensive line and with the sort of receivers outside of Garrett Wilson. But yeah, for me, I would have the Dolphins, then Bills, then Jets. But you could talk me into this one. Although maybe you couldn't actually. I feel pretty good about the Dolphins ahead of the Bills, but I understand why people disagree. The next community tab is the AFC North, where Cincinnati is in first, but again, it's not massively so. There are other teams that are, contenders here. The Ravens, who I actually ended up picking winning the AFC North, although I had them and the Bengals finishing with the same record, so it would be a tiebreaker thing. But I do think Baltimore's a really good team, and I think that the addition of the receivers is it's getting talked about, but I don't know if it's getting talked about as much as it should be. I think it could really change the dynamic of that football team. And Cincinnati does have, like, again, what are we getting out of Cam Taylor-Britt? That's the concern. Cam Taylor-Britt, good, young corner prospect, but they're going to expect a lot from him. And if he sucks, they're still going to be great. They're still going to have a great offense, but that's a concern. I am a little surprised to see the Steelers ahead of the Browns. I do think if Deshaun Watson hits, the Browns could be really good, but I guess that question mark is concerning some people. And plus, Steelers fans like to vote for their team, so that probably factors in as well. I do think the Steelers will be good, though, so I'm not mad at it necessarily. The AFC West is another landslide here, 79%, still just the third most, though, for the Chiefs. I'm assuming it has more to do with competition. It is a little funny that the Raiders end up finishing third here. There was a point when they were finishing second. That's in large part because, Raiders fans tend to be around this channel pretty frequently due to how much Raiders content I make and how much they watch it. Listen, if your team watched videos about your team as much as Raiders fans did, I'd make more videos about your team, right? I go where the numbers go. So Raiders might be a little inflated. Surprised just 3% for Denver. That feels incredibly low for me. Denver is a team, if Russell Wilson's good, it's not out of the question at all that this team could be contending for the division, in my opinion. The Chargers, 10% also feels a little low. But again, I get it. You got to give the Chiefs their due. They're the team that always goes to the conference championship, always has the 1 seed, always wins the division. I would also pick the Chiefs to get it. But again, a little surprised just by maybe I would get rid of a little bit of the percentage from the Raiders, a little bit of the percentage from the Chiefs, and give that to the Broncos and Chargers is how I would view it. And finally, the AFC South, kind of surprisingly, the biggest landslide in this community poll section, as 81% pick Jacksonville. That is the most percentage to pick a team to win their division out of any other team. And again, I think a big chunk of it is just the competition in the division. Having the Texans and Colts in that division is a huge, deal. I think unlike San Francisco, who still has to deal with Seattle, who many feel as though is a playoff team, I think people are maybe sleeping on Tennessee a little bit. I don't think people are expecting them to be a playoff team, and maybe we shouldn't because the AFC is tough. If you don't win the division, you're probably not making the playoffs. I didn't predict them to make the playoffs, but I do think they're a team that could have a good year and maybe is getting overlooked a little bit. They're the Titans. They're going to still play good defense. They're going to still run the ball well. They still have Tannehill. They added DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to be well coached. The offensive line is a real issue. There's no denying that. So again, I have Jacksonville winning the division as well, but I am surprised that is the biggest landslide there. So yeah, those are the community tab and my thoughts on what all of you think. Again, every year I'm the one who puts myself out there and has to give takes that always, some age well, some age poorly. Well, now I'm making you do it. I'm going to see if your takes age well or poorly as well, although we agree on both stuff because that makes sense. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Guess I kind of already know your thoughts. I don't need to know, but let me know what you think of my thoughts. How about that in the comments below? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.